So since we've been primarily doing a lot of the DM sessions and workshops, I want to do a nice bread and butter, right? As I have in the title indicated, you know, is this a NaNoWriMo prompt? Let's get our creative juices thinking. Let's think about characters, and then let's put them in a story at the end of the week. And Tresta Flumph is back. What's for dinner, Tresta Flumph? Well, Forsaken, we're gonna make 5 random characters this week. Bad frozen pot pie. Oh my. Now, there is a method for character creation in the PHB, and we don't use that. Not that we're going to make things complex, because I do try my best to keep this on a D&D 101 level. We're just going to take things out of order, because it'll be better for telling... it'll be better for telling a story. You know, if you're building your own character in your head, really whatever order you choose is going to work best for you for creating your character. As we're creating characters that are apart from us, and, you know, we're sort of pretending that we'll be playing the characters, or that this is our character. You know, there's a certain, I guess, a guideline that I'd like to follow as we develop this character. Oh, sure, we could even incorporate a theme into our campaign. For that, for the end of the week, and weave it into NaNoWriMo. Or NaNoWriMo, depending on how you want to pronounce it. Feels bad, man, says Nadpoo. Alright. Dun da da da. Here's our handy dandy dice roller. We're going to begin by determining if we have a male character, or I guess a female was listed first. Female, male, or a multi-class character, in which case we'd roll again. So let's hit that percentile. 46, we are just one over. And so we have a male character who is a, let's roll a D9, an elf. And this elf is going to be, let's roll odds or evens. Odds. A wood elf. Who is of the alignment. We're going to take 2 percentiles. Ooh. Instead of a wood elf, we may very well have a drow on our hands. 8561, we are a neutral evil character. Who is medium-sized. Alright, so you know what? Instead of a wood elf, I think we're just going to go for a male drow. And let's determine then, with our rules that we created ourselves, I'm going to roll a percentile and find out, do we really have an evil drow? Or is it neutral or good? 37? Alright, yes, it is still a neutral evil drow. We're going to be generating this character at level. We rolled a 95. Ooh! A level 20 character. That means we have the possibility of getting up to 5 ASIs or ability score increases, or stat bumps. Unless you're a fighter, but we'll get to that. Of the 5 that you get through leveling up, I'm going to roll a percentile, and we're going to find out how many, if any, we're going to replace by taking feats. With an 83, we're going to be taking 2 feats. Neutral evil and lawful evil are my favorite alignments, but there's not a whole lot of DMs that accept them in normal campaigns. That's true. I mean, it would take a lot of trust. Not as a person, but because evil characters tend to be like more selfish, or they'll have a goal, or they're willing to just ditch other people. Then you have more people than just your character who want a good reputation, who are more selfless. It can just create a conflict of interest, not even with just you as the player, but as you as you as your character. And then, are you really going to have fun if you can't live up to your character's ideals in the party, or the party can't live up to their character ideals? Exactly, Tracy. Exactly. All right, so we're pulling details one at a time from the ether, and we're forming this character in front of us. And you'll notice we didn't jump straight into, race, class, and background, or especially our class. We have a Drow, and we're going to be determining the background, but we don't know what class he's going to be next. And I do that on purpose because many times, say, well, I'm a barbarian, and that's cool. You can be a barbarian, but you are so much more than a barbarian as a character. Let's roll a 13-sided die. 9. We are an Outlander. I think that'll... I mean, if we have a male Drow kind of wandering around. Outlander. Specifically, there are D10 kind of origins. What kind of an Outlander are you? Let's roll it. Number 7. I don't know what 7 is, and right now, it's just a placeholder. And that's fine. Now we're going to roll 2d8 for more placeholders. So we have personality traits 3 and 1. And we're going to roll 3d6 for an ideal, bond, and flaw. 2, 5, 6. All right. Our placeholders are set. In Outlander, we're actually going to get to that first, Forsaken, because the details of the background are the first details we're going to start putting onto our character sheet. Yeah, you shouldn't just blindside them with an evil character. Everyone should be on board. In fact, that's why for Tuesday's session, because I was going to be doing bad things to my players, I let them know ahead of time generally what was going to be going on, and as a way to make sure that there was a form of like consent or acknowledgement at our tabletop that I am your DM and I'm going to use my powers to inflict pain and suffering and death on your characters. That said, I need you to trust me, and if pain and death and suffering is going to happen, roll with it and use that as a part of your character. All right. You see this big golden D12 up here? It's time to roll that and find out which class this character is. 5. A fighter. Well, so speaking of ASIs, we are going to be a fighter. Now, specifically, a fighter, there are 3 different types, right? There's a champion, battle master, or eldritch knight. I'm going to roll a 3-sided die, and we're going to figure out which archetype we're going to be taking. 1, we are a champion. We're also going to get to choose some fighting styles, and we can go back and refer to this as we're building the character, because I think as a champion we end up with 2 instead of 1. Jericho, I stick to the core rulebooks to make sure that for people who are, it has a couple different reasons. For people who are new to D&D, These are all of the books that you know, many people will start out with, and even for those who have played D&D for a while, I would like to hope that in my own way, I can help them find a little bit of polish on a book that probably they've cracked open, you know, 1,000 times before, and to still see something new in this old player's handbook that they have. I got you, Jericho. All right, now let's make some physical stats for our character. Oh yeah, I saw you did mention that, Coffee Cat. All right, we're gonna start with the Drow. They start at 4 foot 5 inches tall, and we're gonna add 2d6 inches to his height. 7. All right, so we are going to be at a nice solid 5 feet tall. And that same 7, we're going to multiply by 1d6 and add to the base weight of 75 pounds. 3. 21, so our character is 96 pounds. And lastly, let's determine where in the character's life cycle he is. This is something that maybe a lot of us as players overlook. You know, have you ever played a child prodigy? In fact, when I went through this all random character generation for One Crit Wonders stream, which he was kind enough to share on our Discord. So if you want to see me play, not just run, and, you know, see what happens when I'm subjected to other people's whims, I actually rolled up a child prodigy, tiefling warlock, Archfey patron Tome Pact, who was a gem cutter or a jeweler, and a card carrying artisan, a guild artisan. He was a ton of fun to play, even though we completely randomly generated him. All right, so anyway, yeah, consider that. Have you ever played an old man before? An old woman? Someone who's maybe going through a midlife crisis of some kind? Anyway, let's see where in the life cycle this character is. At 21, that's going to put us at young adult. So, that's going to be column 2, bada boom. For elves, we cross-reference it, and here, between 101 and 200. So we're going to roll a 100-sided die and find out where we're at. 2. Okay. So we are a young adult at 102 years old. Oh, an old man druid? Nice, Nadpoo. He has back pains? That's great that you're stepping up and playing up to stuff like that. Okay, we've done our random number generation, so we really don't need this guide any longer. We're going to retire this for this character, and now let's begin in Chapter 4 in the Player's Handbook that discusses backgrounds. We rolled up that we are an Outlander, and I want to focus on the background first because that is what adds character to your character, right? In 5th edition, your character sits atop a 3-legged stool, and a stool needs at least 3 legs to be stable. Race, class, and background. And your background is vital because it is a major influence on your character. It's what you did before you were an adventurer. Alright, so these are listed alphabetically. Here's Outlander. Alright, our skill proficiencies are in athletics and survival. Ooh, we get a proficiency in a type of musical instrument. So as we're developing this character, if an instrument jumps out at you that, yeah, he totally would play this, let me know. We're also going to get a language of our choice. And so that is going to give us... I'm kind of peeking ahead into the Elven stat block. Common, Elven, and we'll get one other here from being an Outlander. You know, with whom was he living out in whatever wilds he was in? He probably picked up their language, and hence, here we are. Let's see. We're going to get a quarterstaff. We'll get a hunting trap. An animal trophy of something that he found. Pardon me. The yawning is partially because it has been a bit of a long day. And it's also kind of warm because I've been wearing the costume and whatnot for a lot of the day. So my body's like, oh, I'm relaxing. And I'm like, yes, I'm relaxing. Especially because I'm having so much fun with you here. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, you should probably yawn and just savor it. But I want to be polite. And I'll also not make you yawn out there at home through the camera. Traveler's clothes and a belt pouch that contains 10 gold pieces. That yawn made you yawn? Yeah, I try not to. Depending on how this character goes and how late we're gonna go, I'll see. Just with a bit of a slight delay due to the technical difficulties. If I don't abuse my body and sort of force myself to go through a second character, because I would rather feel inspired and creative. And not just have this be a product of mechanical rote. So I want to dedicate this time to this character and develop them. Oh, Daily! Thank you very much. Our Daily, is that part down on your beheaded lady? Which, by the way, if any of you had followed this saga, Daily had sponsored a dragon heist, box, and Lady Amalia came out of it without a head, which cracked me up. However, I was doing a bit of a deep clean here in the broadcast room, and wouldn't you know it, but I found a detached noble's head. Ta-da. I'll put a picture of what I was wearing, Civil, on our Discord when we finish up. Okay, so here is our origin, right? There are 10 different types of origins. Now, in the player's handbook, it encourages you, if you come up with something yourself, more power to you. For the purposes of what we're doing here, let's use the chart that's included. We rolled a 7. So while we're an Outlander, we've lived in wilds. In particular, we have been a pilgrim, right? So we've gone from town to town, we've traveled roads, we've seen all kinds of things, and we're following some sort of a religious pattern. Yeah, there is a transaction fee that's included in their daily. So I'm not here to shake you down as soon as possible. I know you'll be good for it. Do what's most convenient for you. Fluffy says, I really thought about wearing the bright wig today. Oh, but you didn't? Ah, that would have been fun. Yep, on the road again, Nadpoo. So we have a pilgrim. We have a male Drow pilgrim, who's lived in the wilds, who's done this in pursuit. maybe following the footsteps of someone. And you know what? You don't have to be a cleric or a paladin to have a faith. So we have a champion fighter, and he could still fight for religion, but he just doesn't, you know, he fights for his faith. He doesn't fight for his faith. I hope that enunciation came through all right. All right, his feature is Wanderer. And it's very handy because it takes care of a ton of background stuff for your character. You know, scrounging up food, finding water, getting your bearings straight when you're out in some sort of wilds. In theory, they could be a philosophical pilgrim too, perhaps in search of experiences rather than just a faith. You know what, Trust-a-Flumph? You are absolutely correct. You know, it is, I'm out to live life. You know, you get the dude abides. The dude abides. And that can very much be this sort of drifting pilgrim. Right, the faith doesn't offer mechanical benefits, which arguably makes it a purer faith than a cleric or a paladin. All right, now, let's give him a personality. Who is this character? Not what is the character. Who is this character? Personality trait number 3. I once ran 25 miles, so a marathon. This is based on history. I once ran 25 miles without stopping to warn my clan of an approaching orc, or in this case we can just put, you know, X horde. I do it again if I had to. He's like Batman. Batman's faith being justice. Except he goes to other cities besides Gotham. Well, you know, in that vein, Nadpoo, then he'd be kind of like Azrael. From, you know, the Azrael villain anti-hero question mark from Batman. Think about that, huh? There we go. A very nice acknowledging nod.
Let us do it, so I can at someone to carry my lady's head.
And as always, a wonderful German accent there, Daly. Let's do the dance so I can add someone to carry my lady's head. All right, so Daly, would you like another dragon horde? Or I'm sorry, not dragon horde, dragon heist. Or do you want to take a dance in one of the other boxes? All right, personality trait number 1. I'm driven by a wanderlust that led me away from home. You want to dance with a Monster Menagerie too? Sure. Trust-a-Flumph had that dance earlier. So I think you have a partner that's all warmed up and ready to go. All right, so now let's reflect on this character. We have a Drow, neutral evil. So far seems kind of bread and butter. And yet, he wandered. He wanted to see what was out there in the world. And he's gone out and done so. And bear in mind that at least how I present alignment on the channel is an alignment is an expression of your character. It's a facet of the personality. It's not the encapsulation of the entire personality. Right? You can have a very loyal and loving person who is neutral evil. He probably carries love in his heart. I mean, we'll see with the other personality aspects. Get that beholder. Daly says, it's like you see so easily into my soul. Well, let's load it up and take a look. And so as we go through the personalities step by step, think about this person step by step. What's his story? What has led? And remember, male drow in kind of a stereotypical setting are rather oppressed, right? They're the ones who, you know, they're fodder for their society. And he said, nay, nay. But he didn't take the path of Dritz, who would be probably an outsider as well, honestly. Okay, so Daily, we are going to begin with... Whoop, that's Monster Menagerie 1. We are going to begin with a Halfling Rogue. And Daily, always trust a flump, huh? Well, I mean, the right thing by him, yes, of course, Golden. But the right thing by him may not be the right thing by a particular society he's traveling through. Next up, we have a kobold with a spiked club. After that, we have a human cleric. Or lastly, Daily, you can choose the Planetar Angel. The Planetar Angel, which if you set it up will look like a really good like Art Deco statue in a city. Right? You kind of look like the Tim Burton Batman Gotham City. With just a bunch of these statues around the town. I'm collecting so many flumps when they come out. Yes, it'll be the Undermountain set, Daily. And I think you're going to have to fight Trust a Flump for at least one of them. But I should be getting in a sizable order of that set. And the Ravnica one, to be fair, too. That'll be coming out this month. And I can say that now because we're past 12 a.m. Eastern, and it is technically November 1st. You want the Planetar? Okay, Daily. Got it. The angel will carry your the angel will carry your beloved your beloved noble's body, woo, to the heavens. I felt like it worked on so many levels. Yep, you just got to queue up, you know, there's several songs that come to mind Daily. You know, we could queue up something from the Oh Brother, Where Art Thou soundtrack, and you got there. Got to put a replacement. There we go. After these run out, I have sealed bricks remaining for all of these. I have sealed bricks remaining for these sets. All right. What is his ideal? His ideal is 2. Greater good. It is each person's responsibility to make the most happiness for the whole tribe. And you can say, okay, hang on. That's a good aligned ideal. How do we circle that, or how do we, you know, square that circle with a neutral evil character? You know, evil, they're selfish. What do they care? They're selfish about their methodology. They're selfish about, you know what, my opinion is, I want to make the most. In fact, an NPC comes to mind from the Curse of Strahd that fits this very, very well. It's someone who is an evil character, but he wants everyone as happy as possible. And it works very well. into some very interesting degrees. You could look at it that way, Pneumonica. The world owes me a living. That could be, or he's just his own, like, what makes someone happy. It could be, you know what? I learned that you can't appreciate happiness without having sorrow. And so instead of going and, I don't know, giving a piece of candy to a kid, you know, he'll go up to a kid that has a lollipop and go, "Hey, kid," poof, knocks the lollipop out of his hand or his mouth and say, "You know what? That hurts. And I don't blame you if you're going to cry. But I want you to remember what happened this day. Because when you look back on it, you're going to realize you've had so many more good days. And this is really going to show who you are as a person. Are you going to spill tears over a lollipop? Or are you going to spill tears over your family pet dying? A relative? Are you going to spill tears over breaking your arm? No, kid. You don't need to thank me. I want you to think about this, though. And there we go. That is a very neutral, evil presentation of the greater good. Welcome back, Jericho. All right, next up, his bond is number 5. I suffer awful visions of a coming disaster and will do anything to prevent it. Now, did he get that while he was on the Pilgrim's Trail, or is him leaving his home and becoming a pilgrim a way that he feels he is able to suppress whatever this vision is? Because we're Outlander and Hermit are kind of they're rather close. I mean, there's a quaint expression, you know, kissing cousins. Like they're really close in what they do and how they operate, though they still have a distinct notch or a niche that they fill. And so in this case, we're dipping a bit into Hermit, who that's their background feature. So honestly, your bond is a quasi background feature itself that directly inserts your character into the story. And this is why I love the background system in 5th Ed. You aren't just a character who collects weapons or whatever and then just interacts with the story. You have an in from character creation into the story. Okay, now it's time for the flaws. Because we are all flawed creatures. His flaw is number 6. Don't expect me to save those who can't save themselves. It is nature's way that the strong thrive and the weak perish. And you know what? Maybe then that's why he believes in this greater good. He's trying to prepare everyone for this coming disaster because he can't save them alone. Only he can, you know, he can address the disaster, but he can't save everyone. So every lollipop he knocks out of a little kid's hand, he's trying to save that person and put life into perspective. Toughen up. Learn a martial arts so you block some random stranger from, bumping candy out of your hand. Get good, son. I need you to, because the world isn't going to be what it is that you know. I think we have a really cool, compelling character here. He has a good heart despite being an evil character. And he has a reason for his methodology aside from, lol, I'm evil, kicking puppies, burning down orphanages, lol, I'm evil. Which is, it's something that a lot of us can struggle with by playing an evil character. Not all. I'm not just throwing a broad net out there. But we actually have a compelling character that's not lol random murder hobo. All right, now let's go and discover what he is going to get by virtue of being a Drow. An elf first and a Drow second in this case. Background here is multi-universal. This makes for a great... Background here is multi-universal. This also makes for a great Godsman in Planescape setting. And Galgren, thank you for joining the conversation. I'm glad that you're finding some inspiration here. I would disagree. I think this character would appreciate orphanages. Well, right. The example was, I'm evil, so I'm going to do stereotypical villainous things by burning down orphanages and kicking puppies. Those are evil, but that's not the only way to express an evil personality. I would very much agree, Trustaflumph. Now, does he actively seek to make orphans? Maybe. Probably not. Especially if he's trying to shoulder this responsibility alone, which, by the way, that could be interpreted as selfish and as something that's evil. And so he doesn't have time to train people himself because he's training... Well, look, we're jetting him at level 20, and you know what? He's only 102 years old. He's a young adult for a Drow. And what has he done over the course of his life? What revelations, mental or physical, has he overcome in order to be this level 20 fighter? This one might run an orphanage for his own gain, training those orphans in harsh conditions. Hey, Galgren, that could be it too. I feel like the phrase "an elf first, a Drow second" might be a good phrase for this person potentially. Yeah, if he sees that there is a greater evil or a greater something, and he needs to actually go out and maybe even get the help of, the daywalking elves, his cousins, the wood elves and the high elves, or whatever, local, if you want to call them sun and moon elves, gold elves or whatever. There's a lot of different gray elves and such. That could be a catchphrase for him. An elf first, a Drow second. Yes, I'm a Drow, and you know what? It's how I was born and raised. That's what it is. And but at the same time, I'm here not to do Drow things, but to do elf things, like preserve life. Because you might not like us. You might not like us, but we still live. We require life. So even at our worst, we still have to celebrate and encourage life. Are you with me or not? And what a devil's deal, huh? Sweet Pea Geek, thank you very much for that host. And I hope you and the others down your way are doing very well. It's great to see you. All right, elf traits. Increase your dex by 2. So we're going to put a little placeholder here. We get base speed of 30 feet, which is going to make 15 climb, 15 swim, 0 fly. We are going to be getting dark vision out to 60 feet, so we're going to fill in the little eye up here. Keen senses. We have proficiency in the perception skill. Also, we have a Fey ancestry. We have advantages on saving throws against being charmed, and magic can't put us to sleep. So, on advantages versus charmed. We can also trance, which means we can meditate for 4 hours to get the effects of a long rest instead of having to sleep for 8. My mind instead came up with the idea of a guy who murders parents if he sees potential in their children because he believes that children won't reach their potential if their lives are too easy. That seems adequately evil. I could accept that, Fluffy Sheep. In some way you almost get a like a dark mentor figure, right? You get a almost like at least in the movie adaptation, kind of like a Bane figure, right? Thanks. We just passed 3,000 downloads for our podcast. Oh, that's awesome. We'll be going live on Twitch in about 30 minutes. Hey, if you want to put a link over to it on our Discord, you know you're welcome to. I want to help support you all. I really enjoy when I can go and visit you all playing D&D and saying hi to your crew down there. So thank you for sharing that, for the good news of your podcast, and also thank you for sharing to invite us into your home as you play D&D there yourselves. Also, it's starting to get cold here. You're robbing us of summer. But that's okay. We had a lot of summer here. Yeah, there you go, Dark Wolf. You merely adopted the darkness. I was born into it. And I mean, it's a drow, right? You are definitely born into it. Okay, now let's go to Dark Elf or the Drow. Yeah, Summer's yours. Yeah, you can have it. We have shared custody of Summer. It's fine. I don't want to get into a back and forth because it makes holidays really awkward, and you know. Our charisma score increases by 1 as a drow. Our dark vision goes to 120 feet. We do get sunlight sensitivity. So being in bright light is kind of a moment. Is this character male or female for drow? It makes a difference. Yes, it is a male character, Galgren. We're also going to get drow magic. You know the Dancing Lights cantrip. When you reach 3rd level, you can cast Fairy Fire spell once per day. And once you reach 5th level, you can also cast the Darkness spell. Charisma is your spellcasting ability. So we are going to come down here, and under cantrips, let's write as a note from Drow Magic, we are going to learn Dancing Lights. Actually, is Fairy Fire a 2nd level spell also, or is it 1st? Druid. Oh, no, it is a 1st level. All right. So, Drow Magic. Fairy Fire. I highly recommend, if you're making a spell sheet, note where you got the spells from. And especially if it operates off of a different stat than your main one. And Darkness. There we go. Nice and easy. And we also get Drow Weapon Training, which is going to proficiency with rapiers, short swords, and hand crossbows. But you know what? We're a fighter. If we can use it as a weapon, we will. Maybe in Xanathar's, I don't recall offhand, Fluffy. Yeah, a half elf is a half elf, and you know, you can really chalk that up to however you'd like. You know, if you want to say that you are a half drow, sure. I mean, mechanically you are what you are, but play with that fluff. Actually, in our Thursday, our open Tomb of Annihilation game, I have a mechanical half elf that is playing at our tabletop. But the look is a half elf, half orc, and it's an interesting Janus effect. If you haven't seen what a Janus cat is, or even what the concept of Janus is, I would urge you to look it up. So we have a Janus type character who's split, you know, kind of evenly-ish, and sports an elven half and an orc half, but mechanically it's a half elf. Ah, Sword Coast. Okay, we have finished that up. Now let's take a look at what we get per our class. As a fighter, we will get a lot of things. All the things. We're level 20. What a way to come back into our character generation than by, you know, really making an epic tier fighter. This is some good stuff. All right, before we worry about a ton of this, though, because look, if you're new to D&D, you might look at this chart and go, oh, whoa, what? Wait, what? What? Hold on. We're going to build it one step at a time. Let's go down to our hit points, right? Or our hit dice, more in particular. We are level 20, so we have 20 D10 hit dice. Your hit dice are what allow you to recover, you know, some wounds in between combats as you take a short rest. It's like a second wind of sorts. We're level 20, so we have 20 of them. That's how it works. At level 1, you have 1. At level 5, you have 5. Okay, our proficiencies. All armor and shields. Weapons. Simple and martial. All weapons. Our saving throw proficiency, and by the way, you don't get a tool proficiency as a fighter by being a fighter itself. Battlemaster actually will give you a tool proficiency. Your saving throws are going to be strength and constitution, because you are a big tough boy. You're a swole boy, a bulk boy. And our skills, we get to choose 2 from acrobatics. Animal handling, athletics. Well, we already have that. History, insight, intimidation, perception, and survival. And we already have that. So for this, think about the character. Who is he? What has he done? Right? I once ran 24 miles without stopping. I'm driven by wanderlust that led me away from my home. This greater good, it's each person's responsibility to make the most happiness for the whole tribe. I suffer awful visions of a coming disaster and will do anything to prevent it. You know what? That might be pointing to insight for the visions, or to gauge people if they're worth his help, however that may come. So, now, if you have a different suggestion, please offer it. I think for our 2, insight is going to be a good one. And what else? What else? Don't expect me to save those who can't save themselves. It's nature's way that the strong thrive and the weak perish. That could mean maybe acrobatics, so that he is very physically versatile, right? He can climb, he can climb up, and he can swing down. He can do all sorts of physical activity so that he stays on the top. Aside from that, he's a pilgrim as an Outlander. He may have picked up history, especially if it's more of a philosophical bend than an established religion. So history is fine. You know what? Even if we make his intelligence his dump stat, that's fine. So generally he doesn't know a lot, but when it comes to history, he'll be good, because your proficiency bonus is going to mean more over time than your skill modifier. Sawfang, thank you very much for that host. Hopefully you all aren't caught in ad limbo. I'll wait until you start saying something, though, just in case. Yeah, survival's a shoo-in. We got Gelgrin. We got survival from by virtue of being an Outlander. I kind of like the history, right? Even if we make him dumb, he can still say some wise things. I mean, wise in a broader sense, not as per wisdom. Never trust the limbo. Hey, Volvo. There we go. Hey, Sawfang. I hope you had a good stream. You were probably caught in ad limbo, because I'm like, yeah, hey, thanks for the. Better hold on to that. But yes, welcome to you all. I hope you had an amazing stream. If you want to talk about what you did here, Sawfang, and what you do generally, you know you're always welcome to do so here. Gotta head to work, otherwise your butt is late again. Stream was good, finished God of War, and now working on a bit of Red Dead 2. Ah, very nice. Well, Sawfang, you gotta get going and do so. For any of you who came over with Sawfang, I'll do my best to sit here and I'll take care of you. Crusade to many planes. I also focus on a lot of story-oriented games and sometimes D&D. Well, you know what, Sawfang? That's what we do here. Storytelling is bread and butter in this workshop. And by the way, I get what you said. And mindless grinding and murder hoboing. Alright. Equipment. This is a level 20 character. Honestly, we should be giving him... well, you don't have to. I should say this. D&D 5th Ed is not meant, quote-unquote, for magic items to exist or be necessary, I should say. I mean, we can give him mundane equipment. Like, we can give him chainmail if we want to make him a... you know, a strength-based, or he might go dex. For all we know, maybe we go archery. But the AC is going to be kind of irrelevant. And, you know, to keep things moving along, let's find out more details about our character, and then we'll equip him. But yes, be well, Sawfang. Bread and butter, I'm making you a hungry woo. Jericho, see you guys later. Gotta go now. I have work. Yeah. Hey, we'll see you again. If not live on stream, then you know where to find us on Discord. Because remember, despite what you said, Jericho, you're locked in here with us. We're not locked in here with you. Okay. You adopt a particular fighting style as your specialty. So this is where we begin our class features. Let's roll a d6. 1. Archery. Well, I called it. And by the way, archery fighters are very fearsome. As much as we want to go, oh, rangers, yeah, they're the bow and arrow class, right? Woo! Fighters can put out some heat with a bow or a crossbow. All right, archetype. Archery. That probably says that we're going to be a dex fighter. Next up, we're going to get Second Wind, so that we can heal ourselves in combat without needing to rely on magic or others. We are also going to get Action Surge, so that we can make another standard action on a turn. We're going to choose our archetype, but we'll get to that. Let's see what a fighter gives us. We'll get an extra attack. In fact... 3 at 11 and 4 when you reach 20th level. Extra attack times 4. We are swinging like a madman. And we become indomitable. When you roll a saving, or you can re-roll a saving throw, you fail. If you do, you must use a new roll, and you can't use the feature again until you finish a long rest. They have the feats to invest in hit and run and multi-shot. So yeah, because we rolled for it, and of the 5, well, the normal 5 ASIs we'd get, 2 are going to be feats, but being a fighter, you actually get more feats available to you, or ability score increase opportunities. You're going to take off 2? Yep. Be well, trust a flump. It was a pleasure broadcasting as your wingman, to be a substitute teacher on your channel. Thank you very much for that opportunity. All right, champion. Improved critical. Beginning when you choose this archetype, your weapon attacks score a critical hit on a roll of 19 or 20. Oh, you know what? Ha. I was writing under archetype, and these should have been under class. Ill-tempered sea bass. I like the reference. Welcome, and thank you very much for that follow. I hope that you've been enjoying our show. All right, here. Oh, we had Indomitable. It goes up here. For our archetype as a champion, improved critical, 19 to 20. Remarkable athlete. Starting at 7th level, you can add half your proficiency bonus rounded up to any strength, dex, or constitution check you make that doesn't already use your proficiency bonus. So it's a bit like the Bardic Jack of all trades. And I'll have you know what's a dexterity check? You know what's a dexterity check up here? Bada boom, initiative is a dexterity check. Remember that for Jack of all trades and for Remarkable Athlete. All right, we're going to get a second option from the Fighting Style class feature. And then we move up to Superior Critical. So let's just replace this. We now have a 15% chance to crit. And then we are going to get Survivor. You attain the Pinnacle of Resilience in a battle. At the start of each of your turns, you regain hit points equal to 5 plus your con modifier if you have no more than half your hit points left. You don't gain this benefit if you have 0. Isn't that something? And, whew, this is a very, very powerful person. Yep, superior crit on a bow and arrow, huh? We're going to be quite the sniper. All right, our second fighting style is... Well, we rolled archery again. We get it, game. You want us to make an archer? We'll do so. You want us to be an archer? I promise. We'll be an archer. I swear. I swear by it. All right, and 6. 6 is 2-weapon fighting. So we can pick at them from afar, and when they come in close, with a snick a snack, we can use our weapons in close combat. And you know what? A good old short sword and dagger can really put in some work, especially on a dexterity-based character. We could, yeah, ill-tempered. We could possibly do two-hand crossbows, do a little 2-pistol bang bang. He's a fighter posing as a ranger, says Galgrun. Okay, we are almost finished here. Let's take a look at Chapter 6. So, class, did you bring your player's handbooks to class tonight, everyone? Come on now. Chapter 6. Your DM is allowing feats, so let's choose 2 feats for this character. I kind of think that Crossbow Expert is going to be... Crossbow Expert is probably going to be something that this person will take. And I want to say Dual Wielder as well to help accent the 2-weapon fighting. Right? Our feats are really backing up what we're doing, and it's making us better because we're honing ourselves, right? We're this pilgrim. We're going town to town. We're trying to train people to be pinnacles of what they can be in order to help prevent, in order to sort of like raise an army against the source of this vision our character's having of disaster. So I think something like a crossbow expert and dual wielder would be appropriate feats for this character. You gain a +1 bonus to AC while you're wielding a separate melee weapon in each hand. You can use 2-weapon fighting even if one-handed melee weapons you're wielding aren't light. So actually we can go 2 short swords. You can draw or stow 2 one-handed weapons when you would normally be able to draw or stow only 1. We could go sharpshooter, I guess. It would really just be, I mean, we have a Drow. They tend to do hand crossbows racially a little bit more. Not that he can't be an expert with a bow and arrow and a crossbow. But I think it might be fun and fitting. Especially, you know, he's carrying a bit of his old self with him in this regard. And so, I mean, we can give him sharpshooter. It's not bad at all. Yeah, he can whip out 2 hand crossbows. I mean, sharpshooter and spell sniper are really good. And so that being said, we can give sharpshooter to any ranged person. But I think for purposes of building our character and giving him personality, crossbow expert, that might be a little bit better for him. Though I appreciate you making that that offering and for us to consider it. Okay, let's go back to fighter. We filled in our abilities, but we do get ASIs, right? 6th and 8th level. So, I mean, 8 and 12 are taken care of, but we get one at 6, 14. 6 and 14, so we get some extra ones here. We could technically take feats if our DM was open for it, or we just say, you know what, he's honed, he's building his muscles and his mind, and we can just give him more stats. You can't use 2 hand crossbows. Oh, so what was the ruling on that then, Fluffy? If you don't mind my asking. All right, we're going to start with the standard array, right? This is what he is getting at level 1. I think that dexterity is going to be important for him as an offensive and defensive. Offensive and defensive stat here. And given his proclivities, he's had these visions, he's a pilgrim, he's very athletic. If he can run 25 miles and his heart doesn't explode, I think he has a decent con. 12. $15, $14. I gotta put a 13 somewhere. $13, and then I have a 10 and an 8. There we go. Now, if you want to rearrange his stats, you are definitely welcome to offer something else. But to me, with the character as we see him manifested in this moment as level 20, what's the journey he's been on? Let's think back. Let's process this. This seems to make sense. Well, to me anyway. That'll give us an 11 charisma and a 17 dexterity. Which means that we are going to get then, we're going to get 4 ASI, so we have 8 points that we can drop into things. So if we bring dexterity to 20, we have 5 more points left. Four points left. Two points left. Maybe we'll bring his intelligence up to equal out, to be a 0 instead of a negative. You gotta go. It was fun. All right. Hey, Forsaken, thanks for hanging out with us tonight. Zeus the Kobold. If someone can learn to fire a bow with their feet, I'm sure an experienced fantasy archer or fighter can get enough dexterity in the fingers to load crossbows without putting them away. Well, welcome, Zeus the Kobold. That could very well be the case. I mean, we're talking fantasy, and we have an odd habit of injecting realism into our fantasy games. Thank you for that observation and participating. Zeus the Kobold, do you happen to know Norton the Gnoll? Because we have a Gnoll that hangs out with us too on occasion. If we wanted to go full realism with our fantasy, strength would be for ranged and dex would be for melee. You know what? I like it. Nope, never met him. Okay. Well, if you happen to meet Norton the Gnoll, we also have a Lich that hangs out with us on time and again too, Zeus. Yeah, exactly, Galgren. Exactly. I agree. If we went with this spread, that's going to give us a 2 strength, 5 dex, 2 con, 0 int, 2 wisdom, and 0 charisma. Our proficiency bonus is going to be a +6 at level 20. And so our saving throw is going to be 8, right? Because we're proficient. 2 + 6 is 8. At least last I checked. I don't know, there's a bunch of new math going around, so who knows these days. Athletics is going to be 8. Remember, remarkable athlete only counts for those skills in which you are not proficient. Or that you don't have a proficiency to, I should say. Dexterity is a 5. We're not proficient, but it's not a check. It's a save. Therefore, acrobatics, sleight of hand, and stealth are all going to be 8s. Because we get to add half of our bonus to the ability. Con is straight up. Int is going to be 0s down the line, with the exception of history, which is a nice, outstanding 6. Twos and 8s in wisdom, and we get 0s in charisma. We don't need to try and rally people to us. Our actions will speak louder than our words. I got you, Fluffy. Yeah, no, keep it simple. Don't try and over-engineer it, right? Passive perception in this case is going to be an 18, right? It's 10 plus your perception modifier, which is 8. So here we go. Okay. What's next? We have initiative is going to be an 8. Because remember, initiative is a dexterity check, and we're not proficient, so we can add half of our bonus. Now, for armor class, just remember, with dual wielder, you get a floating bonus, but you have to be wielding the weapons. You won't get it from just holding a bow or a crossbow in your hands. Hit points. We get our maximum hit die at first level, and then for all remaining levels, in other words, all 19 of them, I suggest going the half plus 1 method. It makes things so much easier. And the book recommends it too, but hey, you might have a DM that says, nah, roll for it, and you say, okay, this could be scary. Then for all levels, all 20 of them, you get your Constitution modifier as a bonus HP. So here is how we're going to figure out how many hit points our character has. So this is going to go up to 40. It's going to go up to 50 because of this plus 10. So we have 54. So we have 114. Plus 50 is 164. Now, we're not filling in armor class or our 2 hits because, again, this is level 20. Is he going to be starting with a level 1 bonking stick? Probably not. Frying the bow with a feat thing wasn't hyperbole either. Yeah, oh, no. I very much believe you, Zeus. I've seen that before. You know, so we get a little bit of racial magic that, you know, it's inherent. But you know what? We have a level 20 Drow champion fighter. We've given him a personality. We have given him... we've given him motivation. We've given him not just a backstory that exists, but we've also given him compelling reasons to continue doing what he does. For better or worse... depending on who you're asking, probably worse. Right? Even though he has these good intentions, you know what? It might pay off. Maybe this character, and I'm open to names, by the way. You know, let's button up our character with a name. I mean, maybe by all of the murdering or the training or the child army and all this other stuff that he's building, maybe he can actually defeat whatever this big plot point is that was alluded to in his background. And then, of course, you know, what do the villagers say? That's their moral conundrum. Thank you? I mean, you had to kill half of us and steal our children for, you know, 5 years, but thank you? Victor says, Atribash is a good name. That's what I call my homebrew Wolfman. With one combat trick, getting a source of blind fight be something he'd have to make use of his darkness racial if caught surrounded. Well, he could... oh, pardon me. He can rely on his dark vision as well. In fact, in 5th Ed, I forget offhand, can Drow see through their own darkness? Or does it block even their own? I'll have to check that out. But look, so we've made a character. He's compelling. He has a backstory. He's going places. He is a very good quest beginner as well. You know, come with me. I have this destiny. I have this thing I have to stop. And you've proven yourselves. If I don't have to watch over you, then come along and let's get this done. So yeah, let's throw a name on here. Atribash. Oh, they can't. Maybe I was thinking 4th edition, Fluffy. You need Devil Sight, yeah. Unless it's a Hunger of Hadar, in which case everything is blocked. I got you, Tempered Sea Bass. Not a shark with a laser beam, but I'll still take it. Back in my... yeah, they had infravision, Zeus. Alright, so here's our character. I sincerely hope that you enjoyed building him along with me. It was a lot of fun, and you know what? We haven't gotten to build a random character in maybe a month or longer. As we've been doing a lot of DM workshops, we've been doing a lot of other review and some other content. It feels good to get back and to start a party, especially with a strong character like this. This is going to be a great source of information for us to continue to build upon. Fluffy doesn't like infravision, I guess. So what I think I'm going to do, everyone, let's find someone to raid. It's 2 a.m. I normally go longer, but due to some Twitch shenanigans, I didn't get to broadcast until a lot later than I had hoped. And I don't want to sit here and either yawn or just look tired in front of you all. You don't deserve that. And so I think I'm just going to go and I'm going to get a good night's sleep. And we're going to come back and let's make characters 2 and 3 tomorrow. And then we'll finish up with 4 and 5 on Friday. And then make a map and then a campaign. Which is all... I really hope that if any of you are into NaNoWriMo, these are going to give you a very good inspiration or motivation. In fact, you know what? We just had we had Sweet Pea Geek pop in here and say hi. Why don't we go visit? I will give you all a free trip down to New Zealand, where they are slowly stealing our summer. And Casual RP is playing their D&D tabletop game. It's a great group, lots of fun. They're great to watch. So let's go take a trip down to New Zealand and say hi to Casual RP. Thank you all so much for being a part of this stream. And I hope that you enjoyed, if you caught it, my guest appearance on D&D Time earlier this evening. And on Sunday, I was a guest player in One Crit Wonders one-shot. So if you say, well, Matt, you've been DMing forever. What do you know about playing? Well, I hope you'll enjoy and see for yourself. It's up on our Discord. Oh, thank you for that sentiment, Daily. All right, be well, Victor. So, Ill-Tempered Seabass, Jericho, if you're still out there, thank you for joining us. Thank you for the follows. Thank you for the hosts. For those of you who purchase minis, thank you. For those of you who are who have got subscriptions to the channel, also thank you. And keep in mind, the third Wednesday of this month is when we're going to be raffling more minis. And that's based on the number of subscribers will determine how many boxes that I'm going to be putting in the prize pool. Anyway, let's go say hi to Casual RP and wish them all well. They do have a doggo that shows up on screen. You can also have some input into their games. I believe they still have that going. And otherwise, they're a great group. I really hope that you enjoy them. So thank you very much. Peace to you.